Hey folks, another weekly rant slash lecture slash discussion, whatever. Um, I've been reading over the discussion board for week 3, and what really sort of leaps out to me is the fact that you're still struggling with the definition of folklore and what is and isn't folklore. And that's really good because that's exactly where you should be at this point. Just sort of wrestling with the parameters of the topic and getting it straight in your mind. So excellent. I like to see discussions about whether, well, Jennifer brought up the idea that our pet rocks folklore. Johanna mentions cooking and knitting and hunting and even child care or child rearing beliefs and practices. And they all can be folklore, right? If they're studied in a particular context or from a particular viewpoint, right? And that's what's going to distinguish this from psychology or sociology or anthropology or art history. So the thing to keep in mind whenever you're sort of wrestling with these ideas is the term itself, folklore, right? It's a compound word, and the two parts of the word are packed with meaning, right? Folk refers to a people, a group of people, right? And lore, it refers to knowledge, especially knowledge that the implication is sort of passed on knowledge. So when you're trying to identify something as folklore or not, to decide whether it fits within that categorization, think about those two sections. Does the phenomenon, whatever it is, belong to a particular group of people, of folk, and is it knowledge that is integral to that group, or is shared by that group, or is passed on by that group? And that's going to help you with your definition. It is also going to help you with your final project. Because we've done the style guide assignment, that's completed, I hope, and therefore we move on to the next assignment, which is to find a research question, to develop a research question, which is going to guide your research. And if we go to the Blackboard shell for the class, and we go into assignments, and the final essay, right, we're on the research question, which is due on September 15th. If we go into that folder and then into the research questions folder, there's information here. There's also a link, or the assignment itself, the actual paper description assignment, the thing that would be handed out to you in a class in years past before we went electronic, is right here, the final documentation project. And there's some good first steps here. Read the examples in the book. There's several student papers in the book that will give you an idea of what that's about, you know, what these kind of research projects look like. And then it says choose a genre and a folk group to focus on. And that's exactly the same thing, genre and folk group. Lore and folk, right? The folk is the group of people. The lore is the genre. Genre just means category, right? So what type of lore are you looking at? Is it jokes? Is it stories? Is it recipes? And there's some examples right here. Superstitions of college athletes. College athletes is the group. Superstition is the genre. Clapping games of schoolgirls. Schoolgirls is the group. Clapping games is the genre. Practical jokes in firefighters. Holiday recipes in a family. Stories told by deer hunters. beliefs about haunted houses among Prescott residents, right? So you need to get both of those elements, the group and the genre, the folk and the lore. Then under here it says find your topic. Once you have your group or genre intersection, right, the folk and the lore, where do they intersect, you can develop your research question, which should be some variation of why, right? It's not enough just to document that this occurs, that little girls play clapping games, that firefighters play practical jokes on new members of their group. The ultimate question is going to be why. What function does this activity or this belief have in a society? What does it contribute to the culture itself, or what kind of insight does this give you in studying it? So why are college athletes so superstitious? Why do girls play these particular clapping games? Why do firefighters play pranks on new recruits? That's your research question. It's the thing that's going to drive your research. And then, of course, the answer, your answer to that question is your thesis. And that's due in 2 more weeks. September 29th is when your thesis is due. So really, that's where you need to be at this point in the class. Just getting your mind wrapped around the idea of folklore and what it is and what it isn't. And as long as you keep the idea of folklore in mind, the folk and the lore, the people and the knowledge that those people share that is distinct to them or important to them, then you'll be on the right track in terms of investigating folklore.